Every school has its own unique traditions. Whether that's a flagship event, a fundraiser, or initiative, something that students participate in almost as a rite of passage to be able to call themselves truly students of that school. I went to the University of British Columbia, and a long-standing UBC tradition is an event known as Storm the Wall. Ask any UBC alumnus if they have stormed the wall, and if they say no, it's like, did you really even go here? Storm the Wall is a campus-wide event that is a week long. It takes over the entire campus. It is a 4-part relay race where you get into teams and every one of your teammates does a different part of the relay. There's a swim, a sprint, a bike, and a long-distance run. And then after all of that is done, your entire team meets at the wall. The wall is a 12-foot tall wall erected in the middle of the campus. And the last part of the race is every one of your team members needs to be able to scale and get over this wall. There are no rungs on this wall. The only way to climb and get over it is to use your teammates. So you're lifting, climbing over each other, and pulling each other up to get over the wall. Everyone needs to get over it. As soon as I heard about this UBC tradition, I knew I wanted to be a part of it. The only problem, I hate any form of cardio-based sports. I had no interest in running, swimming, or biking, but I wanted to be a part of this event. So I did what any good leader does, which is find people who are good at the things that you're not good at doing. Or in my case, find people who are good at the things that you hate doing, like running, biking, and swimming. So I rallied a group of girls together and we formed a team. But what was my role going to be on the team? See, every Storm the Wall team is allowed to have one designated member known simply as the wall person. The only part of the race that the wall person has to do is the wall. They just have to show up and they have to get over it like the rest of their teammates, but that's all they have to do. I can do that. 5 foot nothing, I am 5 foot nothing, 12-foot wall. I am not your typical first choice for a wall person. Most teams choose someone who is 6 feet or above to be their wall person, because the taller you are, the less of this wall you need to get over simply by just existing. So I'm not your typical first choice. 5 foot nothing, 12-foot wall. Nonetheless, I was determined to be the best dang wall person I could possibly be for my team. Why? Second piece of this tradition. Any student can storm the wall, and I think that they should. Any UBC student should storm the wall. But there's only a select number of UBC students and alumni who are owners of UBC Rec Championship t-shirts. See, UBC Rec is the student group that runs this event, and every year they create a new design for a t-shirt known as a Rec Championship t-shirt. The only way to get one of these coveted shirts is to win a rec event like Storm the Wall or an intramural league. If you see any student or alumni walking around campus wearing a UBC Rec t-shirt, whoa, that is a flex. And because the design changes every year, you can collect UBC Rec t-shirts every year that you're a student. So not only did I want to participate, I wanted one of these t-shirts. So I was committed to being the best dang wall person I could possibly be for my team. What did that look like? It meant going up to my teammates and asking, what can I do to help you win or run your best race possible? Our sprinter said, perfect. In order for me to run as fast as I can, I need someone to yell at me the entire time that I'm running. So I guess if someone is screaming at you while you're running, you think less about the pain of running and more about what's just being screamed at you. I am a very loud person. I can do this. I said, perfect, I will do that. I will yell at you while you sprint up this hill. Second person, our cyclist. She wanted someone to count laps for her. See, the cycle portion of the race is a series of laps around a designated track, and she wanted someone to hold up fingers to show up how many laps that she had done, so she didn't have to worry about holding numbers in her head. She could just focus on keeping her pace. Perfect, I will hold up fingers to show you and count your laps. Not a problem. And finally, our long distance runner. The distance runner is the last portion of the race before we meet at the wall. And she wanted someone to hold her warm-ups for her after she was done warming up. She wanted to be able to get a jog in and then be able to take off her tracksuit and throw them aside without fear of her clothes getting lost or stolen. I said, perfect, I can hold your warm-ups for you. Day of the race comes. I position myself on the course. I see our sprinter coming, and I start yelling at the top of my lungs every cliche I've ever heard from any sports motivational movie, which is my favorite kind of movie. Dig deep, give it 110%, never quit. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Leave it all on the court. We're not even on a court, doesn't matter. Suffer now, live the rest of your life as a champion. Tough times don't last, tough people do. And then when I ran out of cliches from sports movies, I just yelled whatever came to mind. Sprint, more, faster, go! Her and the entire, half of campus heard me yelling the entire time she was sprinting. I get up to the cycle race, and I am counting laps for her, so she knows exactly where she is and how many laps that she's done. Our long-distance runner is ready to go. She throws her warm-ups on me. I'm holding them like a champ. Finally, all of us meet at the wall. 12-foot wall, 5 foot nothing. Not a problem. I am very small, so my teammates figured they could just toss me over this wall, which they did. And so they essentially cheerleader lifted me up, and I grabbed at the top of the wall and was able to pull myself up and go back and help pull and lift the rest of my teammates over the wall. So we actually made up a lot of time on the wall, simply by them just being able to throw me over it. We get every single one of our teammates over this wall, we crossed the finish line, and we had done it. We had participated in a long-standing UBC tradition known as Storm the Wall. A few moments later, the UBC REC directors come up to us. The results are in. Sure enough, we became proud owners of the coveted UBC REC championship t-shirts. Thank you. We had so much fun, and we figured out that our strategy worked so well that we've returned the following 2 consecutive years as a team. And I'm really proud to say that all of us as UBC alumnus are proud owners of 3 years of UBC REC championship t-shirts. Thank you. Being a leader doesn't mean you always have to be the one running the race. A leader is simply anyone who is willing to do what they can to enable others to be the best versions of themselves. So maybe leadership isn't about winning your race, it's about figuring out what you can do to enable others to have their best race possible. Good leaders do what's required to get the job done. In my case, show up, be at the wall. But great leaders create opportunities that enable others to be more. If you're really good at doing what's required to get the job done, you'll be incredibly successful. If you're the best swimmer, the best biker, the best runner, and you do that every single time to get the job done, you will find a ton of success. People will be able to rely on you for these things, and they will give you opportunities and have a lot of doors open for you. No doubt about that. But if you can start to be someone who, when people are on your team, they are enabled to do more, be more, and achieve more, that's when you can start to leave a legacy with your leadership. What does it look like for you to be the best wall person that you can be in the teams, schools, and communities that you're a part of right now? What can you do wherever you are right now that on the surface may not look like a big deal, but by approaching it with your skills and your unique personalities, you can make it a really meaningful contribution? There are always opportunities to show up big for others if we're willing to acknowledge that wherever we are uniquely positioned to contribute to others in a way that no one else can. And if we start to recognize our ability to have this impact, we can start to show up in a way that's big for others. But if we don't recognize ourselves as leaders, we don't show up as leaders. And what happens is that we play small. There are no small roles, just small players. What can you do wherever you are to commit to being all there so that you can show up and know that as you show up, you are enough to make a meaningful impact in the teams, schools, and communities that you're a part of? What does it look like for you to be the best dang wall person you possibly can be? Showing up to a start line is never easy. Showing up to the start lines of the things that matter to us, whether that's our goals, that's opportunities, that are things that we want to accomplish, it is a long journey, and it takes a ton of courage to get there. And as a result, I think we hold ourselves back from showing up to these start lines. I think we wait and we hold off until we feel that we're confident, that we feel that we're ready, and that we feel like we have all the skills necessary to finish the race before we allow ourselves to get to the start line. And as a result, we hold ourselves back and we don't show up. One of the ways I think we can more frequently and more quickly show up to the start lines of the things that matter to us is by asking for help. And I think many of us find this really difficult because for whatever reason, we've equated leadership to be a solitary journey, and we've equated leaders to be those who have all the skills they need to finish a race on their own. And for some reason, we've equivocated asking for help to be a sign of weakness or that it somehow makes us less of a leader. How many of you find it hard to ask for help? Yeah. If it were easy, it wouldn't be leadership. If it were comfortable, it wouldn't be courageous. One of the most courageous acts of leadership that we can engage in every day is to ask for the help that we need and acknowledge that to those around us. Because what happens when we ask for help? Hey, I need your help. Can you yell at me while I sprint up a hill? Hey, I need your help. Can you count laps for me while I cycle around this bike track? Hey, I need your help. Can you hold my warm-ups for me when I'm done warming up? When we do this, we create opportunities for others to contribute meaningfully to us. When we do this, we create opportunities for others to show up big in our lives as leaders. And what happens when we do this is we create and give permission for others to explore what it means for them to be the best wall person that they can be. Great leaders don't create followers, they create other leaders. And one of the best ways that we can create other leaders if we can lean in and have the courage to ask for the help that we need and acknowledge that to others. Because every time you ask for help, you give someone else permission to show up big, and you give others permission to show up as a leader. When you start recognizing others around you as leaders, they get to show up big in your life as leaders. When you do that, they will surprise you by just how much they can really contribute to your life and what it means for them to explore how to be the best wall person that they can be for you. See, good leaders do this. Good leaders are able to say yes to the things that they have capacity for, and yes to the things that they're good at and can do, and no to the things that they can't. Yes, I can yell, I can count, and I can hold things. No, I cannot and don't want to run, bike, or swim. But sometimes we find it hard to understand how to say yes and no in a way that's powerful. See, when I was in high school, I said yes to a lot of things simply because I was scared to say no or I didn't know how to say no. I would say yes to different involvement opportunities, yes to taking on bigger portions of group project, and yes to family and social obligations in a way that left me stretched thin, stressed out, and overwhelmed. How many of you guys have been there? Yeah. The problem when we say yes but don't truly mean it is that this breeds resentment, and we often pass this resentment on to others. I would say yes to taking on a bigger portion of a group project and then spend the rest of the night complaining about how useless my group mates are. I would say yes to taking on different involvement opportunities, family and social obligations in a way that left me stressed out. And usually what would happen is I'd be in my room and an unsuspecting sibling or family member would walk by my room. And they became the perfect target for me to unload and offload all of my stress of that week. How many of you guys have done that by accident? Yeah. What happens when we say yes and when we don't mean it, it breeds resentment and we offload that to others, is that it creates an inauthentic experience of us. And we act in ways that are inconsistent with the people that we want to be. If we want to lead and show up from a place of authenticity, we need to learn how to say yes when we mean it and no when we need to. But I think that's a really hard thing to do in practice because every time we feel like we say no, we're worried about disappointing someone else or letting someone else down. So how can we start to say yes and no and truly mean it and be able to keep our word to this? A number of years ago, I was given a job offer that on the surface checked a lot of boxes for me. It was aligned to my values, it was in an area of work that it really excited me, and it came at a time when I was actually looking for a transition in my career. But there was something about the way that it was presented and the person who presented this offer that made me really unsure if I wanted to take it. And so I was wavering back and forth of whether to take this offer, and how I like to process decisions like this is I like to talk about it. So I brought this to as many mentors and close friends as possible and had conversation after conversation about this offer and whether or not I should take it. And I was wavering back and forth, having so many of these conversations, really unsure of what to do. And finally, my roommate who was watching this says to me, look, take the offer or don't take the offer. But if you're going to say yes to it, it better be a heck yes. Otherwise, it has to be a no. Because if you say yes to it and it's not a heck yes, it means you're saying no to yourself. I think we can start saying heck yes only when we mean it, and heck yes to the things that light us up. If we can say heck yes to the things that light us up, we can ensure that every time we give someone our word and we give them a heck yes, they can rely on us to know that we're gonna go all in. And we're gonna be all there, and we're gonna contribute as the best versions of ourselves, and we're creating that condition, the conditions for ourselves to show up authentically. And we can start to understand that every time we say no, it is not about disappointing others, it's about not disappointing ourselves, and it's about being able to continue to create the condition for us to show up as the authentic versions of ourselves. And we also start to recognize that every time we say no, it's an opportunity of leadership for someone else. So as you move forward for tonight, my call to action is simply this. I hope you say heck yes to showing up at the start lines of the things that matter the most to you. I hope you say heck yes to showing up to a 12-foot wall when you are 5 foot nothing. And I hope you say heck yes to being the best wall person that you can be in the teams, the schools, and communities that you are a part of. And I hope you learn to say heck yes to asking for help in a way that allows others to be the best wall person that they can be in your life. Thank you guys so much for letting me share that with you guys tonight.